I am the owner of Capital City Equity Group. We are a real estate investment firm based here in Atlanta. And does that work? We're a real estate investment firm here in Atlanta. We buy homes. Am I too far away? I think I'm too far away. We buy homes, we buy mobile home parks, we buy duplexes, apartment complexes, pretty much anything other than hotels. We own a significant rental portfolio currently, and we're fixing and flipping lots of homes as we speak, and also wholesaling. So a little background for me. I got started 5 years ago as a wholesaler. All I did was wholesale. That's all I did. I learned really quickly that this is a small community in real estate here in Atlanta, and a lot of people that I see regularly, I see today as well. We're obviously seeing some new faces in here, so thank you everybody for coming out. But over time, what we've done is we've kind of evolved from wholesaling into full-on set real estate investing. So we wholesale, we fix and flip, we buy and hold, and we have notes, and then we also do a lot of consulting. We do tons of JVs. As a matter of fact, that's how I got my first flip, was from a wholesaler. As I was trying to wholesale one of my properties, it kind of fell apart. I was going to lose the contract, and an investor said, hey, I'll buy it for you at your contract price. You manage it, I'll fund it, and we'll split the profits. I was like, let's go. So I got my first flip that way. What I learned was that doing JVs is really the way to go, because you don't need any of your money. So to that point, we've transacted over 150 homes in the last 5 years, and me personally, I've not spent $1 of my own money. And you can do that too. It's very possible, it's very easy to do. You just have to know how to network, which is why we present this opportunity here to grow your business and network. Tonight, we're going to talk about the credibility of being a wholesaler and an investor. There's two concepts within credibility. One is honesty and integrity. Your word is your bond, basically. But more importantly, well, I say just as important, really, is the numbers. So we're going to analyze the numbers tonight, okay? What really makes an opportunity an actual deal? There's a lot of people that say, hey, I got a deal for you, Carson. I'm like, that's not really a good deal. It's just an opportunity with some ugly numbers tied to it. So what's the difference between an opportunity and a deal? There's a distinct difference, right? A deal is something that makes sense, that I want to put my money into because I can make money, and I have a little wiggle room here to actually maybe make a small mistake or two and not go upside down. An opportunity is, hey, I see a house and the grass is high, I'm going to go call that guy. That's the opportunity. It doesn't become a deal until we understand the numbers. And having integrity in the numbers is critical. So what does that really mean? There's two sets of numbers that are critical in any type of a real estate transaction. One is, what is the house going to sell for, the ARV. So for anybody that's new, ARV is after rehab value. What is the ARV? The house is all fixed up pretty, it's got granite, it's got new floors, it's got new paint. The ARV, I'm going to say for the sake of argument, use easy math, is $300,000, okay? So now, we have to assess what the rehab is. That's the other critical number. If you don't know those numbers, you're not going to get the right dollar amount to make the offer. Okay, so having a good deal is understanding the ARV, which is what? What's it called, Sharon? After rehab value. And then the rehab itself. So, Carson, I'm just new to this. I've never done construction. I don't know how much carpet is, I don't know how much flooring is, how much does it cost to paint? That's a whole other conversation. If you don't know what those are, which I didn't, find somebody that does and partner with them. I did. I found somebody that knew more than me, and I said, hey, I've got a potential opportunity, not a deal, because I didn't know my rehab, and I said, let's go and look at this deal. I want to walk through it. And I want to write down everything that needs to be done. I need new lights, I need new flooring, I need new paint, a new bathroom, new kitchen. So here's my list. I'm coming up with $15,000. My investor partner that comes out with me and did the same analysis, he says, no, it's $38,000. And I'm like, how am I getting 15 and you're getting 38? I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. But in order for me to wholesale that property and to legitimately go up to another investor and say, hey, I have a property that's worth $300,000 ARV, and I've got a $38,000 rehab, how do I convey that to them without actually knowing it? I have to know that. Because if I go to them and say, Sharon, I got this house that's $340,000 and it's got a $15,000 rehab and I want $150 for it. You want it? Yeah, I'll take it because it makes sense. But the numbers are wrong. She goes in because she's smarter than me and she goes, Carson, this $340,000 ARV you're telling me about is really only $300,000. And the $15,000 rehab you're talking about is $38,000, $50,000, $60,000. So now I look like an idiot, right? I don't have the integrity of the numbers. So Sharon's like, you just wasted my time. 2 weeks later, I get this awesome deal. I go back to Sharon, she goes, no thanks, I don't want to deal with it. Why? Because she wasted her time with me the first time. She's not going to give me a second time because she doesn't have any confidence that I know my numbers. So integrity in your numbers is critical. We're going to go over that. How do you determine what these numbers are? There are ways to do that even if you don't have the tools. Because this room right here has the tools. All it takes is for you to exchange a business card with the right person and talk to them about doing something together, and you'll learn. After 3 or 4 of these, you're not going to need many more people because you are going to have that knowledge, right? So understanding the numbers is critical. Walk through with other people to determine what the ARV is. Maybe it's a real estate agent that can pull up the FMLS or the MLS and give you a number. So who uses Redfin or Zillow for their comps? Don't do that. And I'll tell you why. I made the same mistake. Why is that? Because I'm not a real estate agent. I don't have it. You have access to the MLS? Neither did I, right? So it's not a comp. The one thing that Redfin and Zillow are always accurate on is that they're always wrong. They're always wrong. Why is that? Why are they always wrong? Because they're pulling information from the tax records. Whose taxes went up last year on their houses? Okay? Is that accurate for what your house would sell for? No, it's not. But they use an algorithm. Zillow uses an algorithm. What happened to Zillow last year? They went, why? Because their algorithm sucked. All it did was they took what they were doing on Zillow that everybody said, hey, the Zestimate says this, and they thought they were good enough to go and buy homes with it, and they lost their shirt. They're upside down. Zillow and Redfin are not comps, so don't use them as comps. Only use true sales from the FMLS or the MLS. So how do you get that? So one way I got it was I partnered with a friend of mine who was an investor, and his wife was an agent, and she gave me all of the ARVs of the resales based on MLS and FMLS. Over time, because I had credibility and I had integrity, I was able to friend other people that were real estate agents. And they allowed me to use their login codes to log in to the FMLS, which I do today. I don't use it for anything other than analytics. Because if I do something more than that, I jeopardize their license. They trust me that much. And that's a tool I have. I'm not an agent. I don't have access to it. Am I breaking the law? Nope. There's no law against it. The realtors don't like it, and their agency might do something if they find out, but they're not that too concerned about it, quite honestly. So that's one way to get those comps, and that's what I do. I would encourage you to either get your license, become an agent and an investor, okay, because I think it's important to be both. Don't be one-dimensional. And then get those comps, because that's critical, okay? Enough on that. So now, hey, I've never flipped a home before. How much roof costs? Where do I find, what does this cost? As I mentioned, talk to people that are in the industry. There's people in this room that have done it. Say, hey, I've got a wholesale deal, potentially, wholesale opportunity. I need to analyze it. If I bring you out there and I sell it, using your numbers, I'll give you $500. And now you're establishing a relationship. The deal, when you sell it, it's going to pay for that person's fee that you just promised them. Or maybe you have a friend, and that friend's willing to do it for you for free. That's what I did. After 4 or 5 or 6 of these, you now know that, hey, flooring's going to cost me $2.85 a square foot, paint's going to be $1.65 a square foot, roof's going to cost me X amount of dollars per square based on the pitch, and you're going to start learning all this stuff. So then, when you actually get a deal, you're going to be able to log in to the FMLS, like I do, using your friend's account. Take the knowledge you have previously learned from somebody else who's flipped houses and apply all this methodology to get to your offer price. It's only a good deal if it makes sense. So let's take our $300,000 house, okay? $300,000 house. There's a mathematical equation you need to write down. If you have a pen and paper, write this down, because this is critical to wholesalers, this is critical to investors, this is the math that everybody uses and it makes sense. The math is this: ARV subtract 25%. Okay? So in this case, 300,000 minus 25% is basically $75,000, right? So we're at 225, right? Doing all this in my head, so if I mess up, somebody please correct me. So ARV minus 25% is 225. Okay? Now, what's our rehab? Our rehab is $50,000. Let's just call it that. Okay? It's a standard rehab on a house that size if it's cosmetics. So now go from 225 minus 50, and we are at 175. Okay? Now, what are we going to do with that property? Are we going to wholesale it, or are we going to flip it? So if I'm going to wholesale it, who am I selling it to? Who is the wholesaler wholesaling the house to? Anybody? Who? Investor. Investor. So an investor needs to buy it at a certain price to make sense. So the math I just gave you of 300,000 minus 25% minus 50 is 175. So as an investor, I want to buy that house at $175,000. That's a good deal. But the wholesaler doesn't have any money. They've not made a penny. So now you need to make the offer to the seller, right? Are you going to offer them 175? No. You need to offer them 150. Well, who's going to sell a house at 50% on the dollar? That's tough. I get you. And 2 years ago, it was a lot easier to do it than it is now. Climate's changed a little bit. But theoretically, that's how it works. So now they come back to you and say, I don't want to do 150, I'll do 160. Okay, well, you still got a $15,000 spread to sell it at 175. My point being is, your price needs to be lower to accommodate your wholesale fee, whatever that is, within reason, I would hope. Or maybe you're getting a great deal and they want to sell you the house for $1. Take it and run. But my point is, you need to factor in your wholesale fee. So now, you get a contract at 160 with a $15,000 wholesale fee, you're wholesaling it at 175. So you're probably saying, Carson, wait a minute. 300 minus 25%. Where did that go? What's that 25%? That's an important number to know, wouldn't you think? Because that's $75,000 and just, it's gone. It went away. 50,000, that's explainable, right? That's the rehab. So the $75,000, which represents 25% of your ARV, accommodates all of your costs. Okay? What are those costs? Let's look at those real quick. That cost is, one, acquisition. I got closing costs. On a $300,000 house, call it $4 grand. Maybe $5 grand, depending on where your taxes are. But your closing costs, okay? When you go to sell that $300,000 house, because it's fully renovated, you're going to pay Sharon over here, your real estate agent, 3%, and the other agent 3%, which is a total of 6%. So 300 minus 6 is $18,000, right? So $18,000 is part of that 25%. Okay? So do the math with me if you can. You got $75,000, it's gone. We just accounted for 18 in the fee for the real estate agent. We'll call it $4,000 in closing costs, and we're at 22. Okay? So we still got another $53,000 to go. Where is that going? Okay? So now we buy the house, pay our closing costs. We now have to get a loan potentially and pay for that loan. We also have to put the power on. We have to pay for insurance, you have to get a water bill, blah, 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 all this stuff. So a carry cost on a house like that, if you leverage it properly, is going to be about $2,000 a month. Okay? On a traditional rehab, it's going to take you about 3 months to rehab that house. Once you're done, are you selling that house that day? No, you're not. You put it on the market. And it might take you another 30 to 60 days, depending on the market, to sell it. So you're going to hold that house for at least 4 months. 3 months to rehab it. A month on the market, if you're lucky, maybe 2. But it should go pretty quickly because you're going to price it right to do so. Because money is time. Time is money. So you're going to have 5 months at $2,000. That's another 10 grand, right? So if I'm doing my math right, 10, 4, 14 plus 18, what is that? That's 30, what is that? 18,000 and 14,000. Where are we at?
18 plus 14?
Yeah, so 34,000 out of our 75 is gone, right? So what's the rest of it? 75,000 minus 34 is what? That's your profit. Okay? Those are the numbers. That 25% right off the top captures that. Okay? So you can run the numbers back another way too, because when we flip a home, we don't want to be making 8% margin on the house. What do I mean by that? I put 100 in it and I sold it, netted out at 108. That's 8% margin. When we're flipping a house, we want to be making in the teens at a minimum. 15, 16% at a minimum. If you're not making in the teens, it's not worth doing. And I'll explain why in a little bit, okay? You gotta make teens plus in order for a rehab to actually make sense and to be safe. Because problems are gonna happen, right? You're gonna overlook something, it's gonna take a little bit longer. And if you're squeaking in on your rails, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna make $8,000 on this $300,000 house, and you sit another month, that's $2,000 you just did. Oh my gosh, they found termites. It's another 5 grand. Now you're breaking even if you're lucky, right? You don't have any wiggle room. You want that wiggle room, right? So people say, well, how are you going to find a house at 50% of market value? You're buying that house at 160 and it's worth 300. It's impossible to find. It's harder to find now than it was 2 years ago, but those deals are out there. But the point there is, people are selling houses now at a higher ARV than they did 2 years ago. The prices are going to start to come down. That's market analysis. I'm not going to get too much into that right now. But from a wholesaler's perspective, you guys are looking at this saying, I got buyers that are willing to take thinner margins. And they are. Why are they taking thinner margins? Anybody know why an investor would take, let's say that $300,000 house with a $50,000 rehab? That's $250 at a minimum to break even. Why they would buy that house at $220? Why would they do it? Do you have any idea? The number one reason is desperation. Okay? Desperation. People will eat out of a garbage can if they're that hungry. And a lot of investors are eating out of garbage cans right now. And what's going to wind up happening is when everything comes and gets reconciled, their rents aren't going to keep up or their flips aren't going to keep up with what they're doing. They're in high times right now. But they're buying prices on really, really, really thin margins. And what's going to wind up happening is in 6 months, if they don't finish that rehab now, they're going to be upside down. Why? Because they bought it too thin. Okay? So analyzing the deal is critical. You have to look at the numbers. The market is shifting. So right now, the traditional numbers that we use are ARV minus 25%. Okay? In a lot of cases, there are companies, large wholesale companies, that are selling deals at 70 to 75% of ARV, including they need to still do a rehab. So that $300,000 house, they're selling to you and me at $225 with a $50,000 rehab. And people are buying them. Okay? Would you buy a $275,000 house to try and sell it at $300,000?
No.
Why not?
Not enough margin.
There's not enough margin. Because I'm paying $4,000 at closing. Now I'm at $21,000 profit. I'm paying you and the other agent $18,000, right? So that's our 3%. Now I'm down to what, $6 grand? and I still got holding costs and everything else, I'm barely going to break even. What they're hoping for is they get into a bidding war. They're hoping, and if this, and if that, and if that, and if this. One of those ifs doesn't come true, they're on the side owing somebody a lot of money. You gotta leave room for margin. Hey, I expected to make $40,000 on this house, and I only made 28 because it went sideways. Great. Walk away. The key to this business is not how much money you make, it's how much money you don't lose. All right? I've never lost a penny on a deal, ever. And I would never do that. Why? Because I walk away from the bad deals, the deals that don't allow you to make money. And that's hard to do, especially if you're hungry. If you're rooting through a dumpster, it's hard to say, that French fry, I'm not going to eat it. But if you're that hungry, you might, and that's where people get sick, in the dumpster, or they wind up getting upside down financially. You don't want to do that. So in this business, it's important to be multifaceted. I talked to a group over here a little while ago about don't just be an agent, don't just be an investor. Be multiple things. Why? You want to have multiple streams of income coming in so that you're not one-dimensional. I started off as a wholesaler, but I didn't want to stay a wholesaler. Not because wholesaling is bad. However, most wholesalers don't know what they're doing. They honestly do not. But that's why you're here. You want to know what you're talking about. And it's integrity in the numbers. But once you understand how to wholesale, you then can migrate into flipping and then buying homes. And that's where you want to be. And if you have at least, you'll have those 3 streams of income. So if you find a deal, you can now say, you know what, my resources are tied up, I'm going to wholesale it. Because I have the network to do it. Oh, you know what, I like this deal, I've got the financial, flip it. I like this deal because I can hold it, and now I can get residual cash flow. Significant tax advantages to that. Have at least 3 income streams in this business. Do not be one-dimensional. The market is shifting. You guys have seen it, right? 2 years ago, we were flipping, making money hand over fist. The market's tightened up. That $200,000 house isn't available anymore. We're buying $600,000 and $700,000 flips now. Most people can't do that. But we were able to because we were nimble enough to do so. But at the same time, I'm not doing 80 a year, I'm doing 2 a year. Okay? So what else do I do? I bought rental properties because I'm multi-dimensional. I'm not just a wholesaler. I'm not just a flipper. I'm not just a cash flow guy. I have all 3 because the market's going to do its thing. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go sideways, it's going to go crooked, and you have to kind of see where it's going. Right now, whose rent went up? Everybody's, right? Rents don't go down. People aren't living on the street. They're living in apartments. People can't buy houses like they used to. You have to understand the market a little bit, okay? So analyzing these deals is important because you want to be able to have multiple exit strategies. Hey, I can wholesale this property. I can flip it, or I can hold it. Do I have multiple exit strategies here? That's just the 3 basics. We can get into the complications and the nuances of the complicated stuff like subject to acquisition and wrap mortgages and contracts and land deals. We can get into all that later if you want. But that's just the 3 basics. That's the blocking and tackling of real estate. If you get those 3 things down, you're going to win. And if you're able to maneuver between the 3 of them as the market shifts, because you have a good network of people through going to REIAs like this and other REIAs, right? Joe Castaneda in the back, he's a marketing genius. That's why he's here tonight. Because I needed somebody that can think better than I can. He does what he does so much better than what I do. I have my skills. Well, you'll notice that he didn't come in that front door. We had to open up the actual big barn door in the back to get him in. He's got this, he's verbose. He's all about that. We got him in. But thank you, Joe. You've been huge in this process. But Joe also has 3 or 4 other REIA events that he runs, and he's involved with because he understands the value of networking. Okay, it's critically important. You only know so much. Okay, I mentioned earlier there's a lady named Amy Ransdell. I made the comment, and I say this a lot of times about people that I know. She has probably forgotten more than I know. Okay? And that's important to know. It's okay. It's humbling. But at the same time, you want to surround yourself with those types of people, right? Because they're going to teach you. Okay? You have strengths. Use them. But more importantly, identify them. Know what your strengths are. And the hard part is identify what your weaknesses are. Why do you want to do that? Because you're selling strengths and you're buying their weaknesses. You want to go to these meetings and you want to say, hey, I'm good at this, but I'm bad at that. I want to find the person that's good at what I'm bad at and bring them into my circle of influence. And hopefully my strengths help them and their strengths help me. And as a group, we become stronger. And that's what Joe and I are doing here. We're trying to help you be stronger. We can help you do that. We're not selling CD software programs. We're not selling anything. We have teams of people that we work with. We have relationships with other people in the industry, and we all have different strengths, and we refer each other to one another to allow the collective to grow. I do not have any competition in real estate. I have none. And that's not because I'm the best guy out there. People run circles around me, okay? I don't have competition because there's so much business out there to have. If you meet a guy or a girl that acts like all closed off, talking to you like this, you don't want them. They're worried about you taking their business. You want to meet the guy or girl, hey, I'm here. Let's be friends, because they're going to share their knowledge. I got where I am because people helped me by sharing their knowledge. And we want to do that to you and help you out. So that's why we're here tonight. So those are the basics of the analysis. What I told you that I was going to do is I now want to take anybody that has a deal, an actual opportunity, and let's analyze it. Let's talk it through. Let's ask questions about it. Let's understand it. Like we're looking at this as a team walking into a real estate property, okay? If nobody has one, then I can create one. I've got stuff here I can pull up, we can do that. But I believe in talking to some people that there are some actual opportunities out there. And I will do this. If the deal makes sense, I will buy it, okay? I will do that. We have the resources to do that. We do that all the time. And we want to help people get deals off their table if they want to make some money. We're willing to do that, okay? Does anybody have a deal? Do you have a question?
This is not an actual deal, but maybe we could use it as an example. It's an actual property.
It's a what property?
It's an actual property.
Okay, you got an actual property in Ackworth?
Yes. I got it from Realtor.com.
Okay.
Do you want to work with it?
Yeah, let's go with it.
What? It's a 3-bed, 1 bath.
3-bedroom, 1 bath.
0.3 acres.
0.3 acres.
Built in 1920.
Built in 1920.
I'm sorry. Square feet.
1920 square feet. Okay.
And it was built in 1941.
1941.
On Realtor.com, they're asking 225.
Okay, 225.
Yeah.
Is that all the information you have on it?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we'll do. You have an address, I'm assuming, yes?
Yes, I do. Do you want
Okay.
that?
I'll get it in just 1 second.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that up right here. And we're going to look at that deal on the FMLS. And we're going to see what the ARV is on that property. Just lay it right here. And I'll get into it. Where am I? Oh, there it is. Okay. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to log in here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull this property up. Sharon, you're probably more adept at this than I am. Let's see. What is the address?
4504.
4504.
Wynn, W-I-N-N Street.
Is that in Americus?
It's in Ackworth.
Is that Americus Street? 3, okay, Ackworth. A-C-K?
A-C-W-O-R-T.
Ackworth, there we go, okay. So here's the property. We're going to search out a half mile. And we're going to look, I got it, thank you.
All right, come on.
And we're going to look at what properties have sold. So we're going to look at closed properties because we want to see what's actually sold. And then I'm going to pull this up and we'll see what properties have sold in that area and what's actively selling now and what's possibly pending. Okay, so far there's 11 houses in that area within a half-mile radius. I don't know if you guys can see this okay. What was that actual street address?
It was 4504.
4504. I don't, okay, there it is right here. So here's the property. It's actually listed. 4504 Main Street. Okay. So here's the house. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So here's the house. It looks like it's got vinyl. Okay. What's the first thing you see on this? Okay. It needs floor. But what kind of floor was there before? No. What year was the house built?
1941.
What product are people dying of cancer with right now? Asbestos. So that floor used to be asbestos. Who puts vinyl floor in the living room? Nobody. They did back then because it was all made out of asbestos. How do you tell asbestos? Previously. The tile is 8 by 8. Vinyl is 6 by 6 or 12 by 12. That's 8 by 8. So they tore out the asbestos. Okay? Not a bad thing. You can cover over asbestos. You do it all the time, ceilings or floors. But I can tell that house has asbestos. So what does that also tell me? That also tells me that there's a possibility of lead paint, radon, and other things that may possibly be there. Based on the 1941 construction, it might have an old electrical system and a cast iron plumbing system, which will probably also need to be replaced. But I haven't looked at the house yet, so I don't know. These are things that you'll learn, pick up on. Okay? So it looks like it's now that's tile, that's ceramic tile. So the kitchen looks like it's semi-decent. Probably needs some new cabinetry. Paint, looks like some LVP in there. Bathroom probably needs to be gutted out. Looks like there was some mold behind the medicine cabinet. Actually, that light blue tile is gold right now. Don't ever get rid of that. So what we can do is we'll go into a place like that. We'll keep the tile and reglaze it. We can reglaze all that for about $400. The paint, more than likely that paint is okay. It's going to be but you're going to get reglazed. Just reglaze it a different color. You can do white, red, orange, whatever you want. We go in, I'm a Tennessee fan, so we do orange and white checkerboards on it. I'm teasing. The paint here is probably just regular household paint. It's probably okay. However, your windows are probably going to be where you will find lead paint. So always look around your windows. If you're getting flaky coming off the windows because this house was made before '79, there's a high probability you're going to have lead paint.
What would you do with that tile?
I'm sorry?
The tile that was invented. What would you do with that tile?
Which tile? Oh, this tile here?
Yeah.
I tear it out. It's labor intensive, but if it's level, throw LVP right over the top of it, depending on the price point. I put an LVP. Okay, with an underlayment first. It just depends on the price point. So it looks like it's got a decent yard. What'd you say, 0.3 acres?
Yes.
Okay, so there's our house. Now, they're asking 200. All right?
You're asking 225.
225, okay, there it is. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but here's your price. So let's also look, how long has this house been sitting on the market? This house has been on the market for 19 days. DOM is days on market, okay? And you can, yeah, there's your, as I say that, your original price was $260 right here, and it listed under contract at the end of March, okay? So it hasn't been on the market long, but why would they drop from $260 to $225 in a span of 19 days in this market? Why is that? Well, there's two things going on. Not necessarily. If you're a homeowner, is your house worth more than it's ever been worth right now? Okay? So how many times, Sharon, as a real estate agent, you had to talk people off the ledge? I want $1 million for my house, and you tell them it's only worth $400. All day long, right? And in this market, they want more. What happened here is they put the house on the market at $265 because the agent can control the seller, and it sat, and they dropped it. If it went from $265 to $250, different story. But to do from $265 to $225 in a matter of 19 days, there's two things that can be wrong with the house. It's either priced wrong or there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with that house. Yes. So now let's look at how do we calculate that ARV, right? We're going to need to understand that. So we've got a list of 11 houses here in this general area that have sold or are for sale. So in this category right here, I'm going to segregate that. Everywhere there's a C, that means they have closed. P is pending, meaning they're under contract. A is available and on the market, like our subject property right here at 4504. Okay? So what we're going to look at is our subject property is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay? This is important to know. How many bedrooms and bathrooms? Are we looking at a 5.2? So a comp. What is a comp? Anyone know what a comp stands for? What does that mean? Comparable, right? So is a 2,000 square foot home comparable to a 10,000 square foot mansion? No, it's not. Is a 4-bedroom house comparable to a 2-bedroom house? No, it's not. But what if you don't have anything to pull from? What if all your comps are all over the map? Hey, I got a 3.1, but everything I'm looking at is a 3.2 or a 4.2 or what have you, okay? You have to be able to account for that. So in order to account for that, bedrooms are worth about $10,000 to $15,000 depending on your market, all right? Bedrooms, bathrooms, depending on if it's a secondary bathroom or a primary bathroom like the master, can be worth $5,000 to $10,000 additional, having that extra bathroom on your sale price. So if I'm comparing a 3-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, I'm going to take off $10,000 in my analysis to accommodate for that, okay? And then, after all that, I'm going to get the starting point, then knock off my rehab value, okay, in order to get a comp. So, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each one of these properties once I segregate them down to the closest comparables I can get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look at this and say, I've got bedroom bathrooms, so I can segregate this on bedroom bathrooms. So I've got 2-bedroom as our subject property. Where's our subject property? Right here. The 3.1. So I'm going to look at 3 bedrooms only. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate everything else. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to eliminate my 4 bedrooms and lower. I think that is right here. Yes, so everything down here I'm going to get rid of. Okay? Let me get rid of them because they don't matter. Why don't they matter? Because they're not comparable to my house. Unless I want to add square footage, right? If I'm going to add square footage, it's a little bit different. But I want to find out what is actually sold comparable to what I have, because that's what I'm buying. If Trump Tower is being built next to my house in 10 years, my house isn't worth $55 million. That's in 10 years. You want to sell it for $55 million? 10 years from now, I'll buy it for that. But right now, it's worth this because that's what it is. So we're going to eliminate it, guys. Okay? So now I've got just 3 bedrooms and that 1 2-bedroom there. Okay? So now I don't want that 2-bedroom, because look at that 2-bedroom. That 2-bedroom is a $400,000 house. Well, why is that? I don't really know. I'm going to go figure that out. Why is that one selling for so much higher? So I'm going to look at that. And let's see here. Let me get this bigger so you guys can see it. That one's interesting to me. It's smaller and it's the most expensive. So this is a large piece of land, it looks like. That's a little different than our property, isn't that? Okay, it's a city block. So a little bit different. Is that a comp to our 3/10 of an acre? No, it's not. So I'm going to get rid of that. But you see what I'm doing here? It's just basically deductive reasoning. But I have a resource you may or may not have. So I'm going to get rid of this guy over here. Right there. Get rid of him. Refine it even further. Okay, so now I've got 3-bedroom, 2 baths, and a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. So everything I have is a little bit bigger than mine. I can probably find square footage in this house to make an extra bathroom, at least a half bath, more than likely, without adding any square footage. So if I think about my price, my property as a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, then I can probably get a pretty good idea of what these things are selling for. So 4 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those 5, well, 4 of them are all sold. So those are actually comps, right? They've actually sold. And these, the default here is 180 days. They've sold within 6 months, okay? This is relatively new. So I've got, what's that?
That second one is built in 2019.
Correct, we're going to get there in just a second. So you look over here, the year built, you got some new construction over here compared to my 1941. So this guy in 1948 is our closest comp because it's years and everything else, and it's only 0.4 miles from where we're at. So what's the condition of this property that actually sold for $215,000? Now, if you'll notice up here, it's sold for listed for $215. It's sold for $200. Okay, so it's sold for less than what they were asking for in this market. Okay, so here's the house. Is this a fixer-upper or is this move-in ready? Right. Okay, so now we're looking at a similar property. There's only 3 pictures. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Okay? They're not even wanting to show you the pictures, right? All right, so what that's telling me is we got a fixer-upper at $200. What's our price here? $225, right? So let's look at one that hopefully sold after it was rehabbed and get a better idea of what the actual ARV is in the neighborhood. Because if you look at this for what it is, you're going to say, oh, $200,000 is the ARV. Well, no, it's not. So this guy here at $370, it's sold, but that's a 2002 build, right? So let's not necessarily take a look at that. Let's look at the oldest one first, which is just $303,000, right? Does that look anything like our property? Right. Do you think it has just a couple extra square feet versus our subject property? Yeah. So this is all CGI stuff. This is virtually staged. But you can tell this house is move-in ready, right? So looking at this a little bit further, if you just want to, this is how I look at it. This is listed for $316, sold for $303.9, and how long did it take to sell? It took 67 days to sell that house, and it just sold the other day. Okay, and it sold for what? 300 and something? Okay, it sold for 303. They want 225 for our property, right? It gives you $75,000 to rehab it, buy it, hold it, pay the real estate fees, and make a profit. Do you have enough margin there at 303? And you're also less square footage. It's not comparable, right? And you still have to add a bathroom. I'm getting the feeling this is not that great of a deal. So why is it not that great of a deal? Let's look at that a little further. I gotta put my glasses on. So this house here is 1,380 square feet, right here. What'd you say our subject property was?
1,920.
So it's a little bit bigger. Okay. So what I do a lot of times to get a better understanding of this, because pictures can be deceiving, I take all the houses that have sold. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm going like this. I'm taking 370, 368, 304, 200, and adding them all up. So what do we got? 369, 1.1, we're about 1.2, 1.3 million all in, right? So you take 1.3 million, divide that by 4, we're going to get, what, 250? Is it? No. 1.4 divided by 4. What do we got? 4, 6, 4, 8. What is it? 1.4 divided by 4. 350 is our average sale price, right? So write that number down. 350 is our average sale price for those houses. So now, how big are these houses? Because they're all about the same bedroom and bathroom combination. I'm going to look at their square footage, because I want to know how big these things are. So real quickly, I can pull that up and I can see the first house. If someone can add these up for me, 2132. That was 2132, 1428, 1380, and 1388. What do we got there? Divide that by 4. And that's how many square feet? Okay, now take the 350 and divide it by that number. 350,000 divided by what? 1582 is what? $221. That's your price per square foot. Multiply that by our house, which is 1,900 and change, right? 1920. How much? So what that number is telling, this is all just information we're going to process. So it's giving you what? 400 and what? 424,000 at the price per square price per square foot we just established. Now keep in mind, one of those houses is a wreck. It's a complete wreck, right? It's not fully rehabbed. That $200,000 house is a junker. It still needs to be rehabbed. But our average in the area is yielding that. So what that's telling me is if you rehab that house properly, it's worth $400,000. Potential. But is this in the hood? Is this in Trump Tower? I don't know where this is. What is the neighborhood telling you? Is the neighborhood a rough area? Is it a place that I want my kids playing? Can my wife walk down the street in the daylight without getting shot? These are things I want to know. What are the schools? All these things kind of play into it. If that's the case, why didn't that big giant house sell for, what was the price per square foot, 221? 221 times 1380, what do you get? $221 times, that sold for $304,000. That's exactly where that, so that's also a newer home. So what this is telling me is that my market is a range of probably about 375 to 400 on that house. Okay? So now we've established what the ARV is. So when I'm a wholesaler, and I've just established 375 to 400, what am I going to tell all my investors? What's the ARV? I got a range, 375 to 400. What am I telling my investors? Because I want to promote my house. What am I saying? No, I'm not telling them 400. I'm going to tell them about 380. Why? Why am I lowballing that number? Exactly. I don't want them to be upset with me if I tell them it's 400 and they come back and say it's 380. But Carson, wait a second. If you do that, you're selling yourself short because the numbers might not make sense at 380. The fact is, when it comes to ARV, there's a lot of interpretation. You might say it's 410, you might say it's 380, I might say it's 395. It's a matter of interpretation. I'd rather be low and let you go higher than me be higher and you come down. Because if you come out there and I tell you it's 380 and you think it's 400, are you going to be upset or happy? You're going to be happy. I want you to be happy. Okay? Now, if I'm in a tighter market, I shrink that number a little bit. Okay? Marketing is perception. I want people at my door. I want a better value. Let them determine that there. If I push it at 410 because I'm really proud of the house and only one guy shows up, I got one guy to deal with it. But if I tell them maybe it's at 380 and they come out and they really like it and I got 15, 20 people, they might be a bit even more. I want butts in the seats. That's what we're going for here. It's about marketing, okay? You got to think of that. So now we've established the ARV, 375 to 400. We're going to call it 380 for the sake of our discussion. So now we have integrity in that number. Do you guys feel confident about that number that we just went through? Does it make sense how we got there? Okay? I'm going to do something in just a minute. We're going to take that address and put it into Redfin and see what we get out of it.
Well, I put it in Zillow.
Yeah, what did Zillow tell you?
This estimate was $226,500.
Right. Exactly. Once again, they're wrong. Right? This house is probably 375 to 380. Okay, now they didn't see the house. The last time this house sold was probably a long time ago, I would think. So they don't have any idea what it sold for. So now, what's it going to cost to rehab this property? Because that's our other number we need, right? So we're going to go back into this property, and we're going to look at Wynn Street here, and we're going to look at the inside of this thing. Okay, the exterior looks pretty good. It looks like it's got a decent roof on it. It's got a gutter system, possibly vinyl siding. That dark area around the front porch tells me there's probably some water damage there, or potentially some areas we need to pressure wash off, but that's topical. The driveway's kind of ripped up, but you can fix that pretty easily, or maybe you just leave it alone. I'm more concerned with the house. The yard looks great. That's a very pleasant yard. My kids and dog can run around out there. I feel pretty good about that. Who buys houses? Who buys houses when you sell them? Who buys houses? Huh? You know. Women. Women buy houses. What do women like in houses? They want safety. Okay, what does a man do? A man wants a garage to go hang out, a place to watch TV, and he wants his wife to be happy. That's really all we want. I don't want to hear about the house falling apart. I want you to be happy. She cares about kitchens. She cares about bathrooms because it's clean. Their kids can play on the floor and they can take baths and they can play outside. It's an emotional concept because it's not a house, it's a home. And you're selling a home, the concept of a home. So you have to play on the emotion. And I'm using traditional concepts, ladies, so forgive me. Men write the checks, women make the decisions. It's basically how it goes. And I'm not saying that's the way it is, but in this market, this is typically how it goes when you're dealing with a family. Women are empowered, don't get me wrong, I'm not going down that road. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm saying that's the market we're dealing with, okay? Women buy the houses, they make those decisions. They do. And if you fool yourself thinking, I'm talking to the man because he's writing the check, you're talking to the wrong person. Okay? You get to her heart, you get what she wants, you will make money in that area. Okay? So, this house needs work. We saw that. What kind of work does it need? Well, it needs flooring. It's going to need paint, probably on the ceiling. Are we going to scrape that ceiling? Probably not. Why not? Because it's too labor intensive. At that price point, we don't do that. We're going to put new flooring down. We're going to probably put in some new doors. The kitchen needs to be gutted. What's a kitchen like that going to cost me to renovate? Appliances, countertops, cabinetry, how much? $65,000? How much? $25,000? Anybody else?
Yeah, I would go
50? $15,000? We're probably going to get that kitchen done really, really nice for about $7,000. Maybe eight with appliances, yes. Now, I'm not counting flooring, because flooring is part of a flooring budget. I'm talking about counters, I'm talking about cabinetry, I'm talking about appliances. I'm going to rip that thing down to the bare bones. This is going to be a room. And I'll build that thing back at $7,000, plus flooring, plus backsplash, plus lights and paint. Now keep in mind, I've got a flooring budget for the house. It's a 2,000 square foot house approximately. My flooring budget is X. That accounts the kitchen. My paint budget is X. That accounts for the kitchen. My kitchen is what? What makes a kitchen different than a living room? Countertops, cabinetry, appliances. I need lights in there just like I need lights in the TV room. I've got a lighting budget. That's different. So yes, there's additional costs that go physically into the kitchen, but my kitchen budget is countertops, cabinetry, appliances. And then maybe you want to throw backsplash in there. So maybe 7, 8, 9 grand tops. Am I throwing in quartz? No. I may be going to do level 1 granite. Depends on the neighborhood. I might do corian, just to be cheap. But granite's cheap enough, you could probably do granite. All right? I'm either going to do one of two things here. I'm either going to tear that floor out, which is very labor intensive, or we're going to put an underlayment and put an LVP on top of it and be done. Okay? As long as it's level, it should be okay. That flooring there looks pretty good. I'm probably going to try and salvage it. I'm going to change the gold light out. Bathroom's going to need some work. How many bathrooms do we have? We have 1 bathroom. So I want to skimp on that bathroom? No, I want to make that bathroom look good. This bathroom is small, okay? But look at that tub. That's a killer tub. I'm going to reglaze that tub. That's a beautiful tub. That's a selling feature, okay? Am I going to put in a big giant shower walk-in plus a tub? No, there's no roof unless I make it bigger. So this has got to work. I'm going to put $5,000 in that bathroom and be done with it. It's going to be the best looking bathroom you've ever seen in your life. It's gonna be awesome. Maybe 6, depending on what kind of fixtures you put in there, but that's about it. So we're at 13,000 on that. You got paint, 2,000 square foot home, you're looking at about $265 a square foot, call it $3. You're looking at $6 grand to paint the house inside, okay? Including your baseboards, everything else. Am I right, Rich? Flooring, 2,000 square feet, LVP, installed, you're probably looking on the low end, 5 mil, probably $225, $240 a square foot. Call it $250 at 2,000 square feet. That's going to be $5 grand in flooring. So we got 5, 6 is 11. Got your kitchen at 8, that's 19. Got your bathroom at 5, it's 24. Okay. What else am I missing here? Big ticket items. We got our flooring, got our paint, got our kitchen, we got our bathroom.
AC.
AC, perfect. Mechanicals. So what's an AC cost? AC is going to get $5,000 to $6,000. Let's say it's got $6 grand. We're at 30 now, right? Hot water heater. Maybe we need a new hot water heater. Call that $1 grand. We're at 36, right? Am I right? 35 or 36? 36. We need lights. We need doorknobs. We need door hinges. We need all that kind of stuff. We're at 36 grand. Am I going to say 50 cents for that? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say I'm at 36. It's a $40,000 rehab, assuming the roof is fine. Okay, that roof is a $7,000 roof for me to do that. You're $40,000. Okay, so now they want how much for this house? $225. All right. So let's apply the math that we did before. Right. Get your calculators out. What do we say the ARV is? 380. Right. 380 minus what? 25%. Right. We're going to subtract 25% off 380. What's that number? What's that? No, what's the number we're at now? 285 minus our rehab of $40,000 gives us 245 is where we want to buy that house. What are they asking for it? 225? I think that's a decent deal. Well, let's say, for instance, we screwed up the ARV. Okay? Maybe we got the ARV wrong because it only has 1 bathroom. So let's take off $10,000 just for the fact that it doesn't have a bathroom. Because keep in mind, you only have 1 bathroom, that's tough. Having 3 going to 2 is different than going from 2 to 1, right? So even though we're accounting for $5,000 on a bathroom, there is some things that people might not like. So you got 1 bathroom, it becomes a little harder to deal with. Maybe it's not as attractive. So let's take off $15,000 off of our ARV. So instead of 380, we're at 365. The numbers still work. 365 minus 25 is what? 230? What's that? 273, okay. 273 minus 40,000 is what? Huh? 233, okay. That still gives you plenty of room at 225 to pay for your closing costs on the front end. You're still ahead of the game. This deal could work. Now, I haven't seen the inside of the house. Do I want to buy that right now because I just did the numbers and I'm good to go? No. I want to send somebody out to see the house. Why? What am I missing? Is there termite damage? I don't know. The house could be riddled with termites. It could be full of asbestos and I got to spend $20,000 to remediate asbestos. I don't know. I got to go see that. What does the plumbing look like? I haven't seen that. Is it all cast iron? That's got to go. If I have to replumb that house, that's $7,000. What about the electrical system? Is it all bells and whistles, or is it the new stuff? If it's all bells and whistles and fuses, that's another $7,000 to $8,000 with the new sub panel and everything else. So now it starts getting up there. Could be a dump. What's behind it? Is there a garbage dump behind it? A landfill? I don't know. I'll have to look at the aerial pictures. So these are things we're going to think about. But am I going to go see that property? Yes, I am. Why? Because what I just did at my desk makes it worthwhile for me to go see it. Okay? I may decide I don't want it because there's a landfill behind it or whatever, or I found asbestos and everything else, but that's different. I didn't determine that here. It's got me interested enough to go see it, right? So that's what we want to do. That's how you analyze the deal. Are there any questions on that? Did I miss anything or go over to anything too quick? So we're going to do another one. I think you got one, right? Okay, we'll go over another one. But I want you to see the repetition of this. Yes? What's the question? Lead paint for the windows?
Do you just get it removed or replace the deal altogether?
So that's an excellent question. So windows in general are an excellent question. Of the 150 homes that I've done, I think on one house I've replaced all the windows. On one. I don't replace windows. I clean them up, I paint them, make them look good, but I might have a 1946 house with 1946 windows, but the windows are still 1946. People look literally right through them. I'm serious. It doesn't sell the house, because it's always something they can replace easily, because I'll hire a window guy. Now, if the windows are cracked and falling apart and they're not working, and you have to replace them, you have to replace them. But if they function, I don't replace them. Lead paint, I will scrape the lead paint off of there. Technically, you're supposed to have that remediated properly, but if you bag it and get it out, it's okay. My point is this. Lead paint is only bad if it's airborne. Okay, or it keeps chewing on the windowsill. Right, that's where it all started from, the kids. The windowsills are just kind of, the kids are gnawing on it and they got lead. So we need to get that out of there. But if it's not flaky, you can paint over it and you're good. Okay? Just like some of the houses I bought had asbestos siding. The siding was asbestos. We threw up vinyl siding right on top of it. Done. Why? Because it's not a problem on the house. It's a problem when it gets airborne and you breathe it. Siding, we had asbestos on the floor. We laid wood over top of it and laminate floor on top of that, and we were done. Because it was so much cheaper than remediating it. Because it's the airborne concept you're trying to limit it. If you encapsulate it, you're okay. And that's legal. Okay? So lead paint, did I answer that question? Okay. Are there any other questions? So we walk through that deal. That looks like a decent deal. It's something I'd be interested in going to see if it was in my area that I want to do that. I don't want to be an outlet. But maybe it's something I can wholesale. Okay? So let's look at it from a wholesaling perspective, because you wholesale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you walk into that deal, and you get it under contract at $215. Okay? Who are you going to sell that house to? You now walk out that door, you've got it under contract at $215. How are you going to move that deal? Who's going to buy it from you? Because the goal is to get the deal under contract, right? Boom, got it. Now I got to move it. Who am I going to call? How am I going to advertise this? I know a guy that might buy it. What if he doesn't? Now you got a contract that's ticking, and you're going to lose it. So how do you move it, you know? What would you do? I'm being serious. What would you do? What would you do? Because I know you guys were talking to me earlier about wholesale. How would you move the deal?
I would put it out to my buyers.
Where are your buyers at? Who are your buyers?
Who are my
You have a list of buyers?
Yes.
That answers the question. You got a buyer's list. Okay? A lot of people don't have a buyer's list. It sounds like you do. You constantly want to be cultivating a buyer's list. Anybody that's in real estate will want to buy properties. If it's a good deal, why wouldn't they want to? So if you have a buyer's list, you're going to move that through email or what have you, and you're going to send it out to your buyers. You're constantly meeting people, collecting business cards, shaking hands, doing what we're doing here, and you're taking my card that I gave you tonight, and you're putting me on your buyer's list. So when you send that out, I'm going to get your email, right? And you're constantly doing that every day. When I first started out, I had a stack of business cards right here, still got it. Not the same ones, I've got business cards. And I made a point of giving out 5 business cards every day, no matter where I live. Talking to the bartender, talking to the waitress, talking to the UPS guy, talking to the FedEx guy, talking to the guy at the car dealership, the auto parts place. I'm just telling them what I do. Hi, my name is Carson, I'm an investor. If you find a house in your neighborhood or anywhere else you're driving, it looks like it needs work, and I buy it, I'll make your next car payment for you. My next car payment, yeah, what's an average car payment? Is it $1,500? No, it's $300, $400, $500, whatever. You're going to make enough on the wholesale deal that you're going to get the deal. If I can make 15 on the deal, will I not pay you 500? Absolutely. I got 3 deals from my UPS guy. 3. When I first started out. He was driving all over the place. And he would tell me about these deals. This is when the getting was good. I gave him my card. I said, I'll make your next car payment. And if I can close on, he gave me like 12 houses to look at. Now, because he's seeing more houses in a day than I do in a year. And he sees the same ones. That house has been empty for months. I called him, I figured out who it was. That's how you network. That's what you do, okay? So hopefully at this point, I don't know what time I got here, I'm going to get too long-winded. I'm going to kind of wrap it up with Sharon over here. She's got a deal we'll analyze real quickly, but I wanted to make sure you understood the concept. ARV minus 25% minus rehab is your strike price. Integrity in your numbers. You have to know that that 380 is 380 and not 500 or 420 or 285. You got to know that, and you have to understand rehab. We basically calculate it's about a $40,000 rehab, give or take. But we don't know about the plumbing, we don't know about the electrical. It could be a $60,000 rehab. But even at 60, we're still kind of close. Okay, and in this market, that would go. But you're going to need to get that house about $215 in order to put it at a $10,000, $15,000 wholesale fee. Because keep in mind, you're going to have to negotiate who you're selling it to. And they may say, hey, I don't want it at $240, I'll get it to $229 or whatever, and now you're eroding your fee. But your fee is negotiable, right? I'd rather make 100% of something than 0% of nothing. Sharon, what you got?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A buy and hold deal, $180,000.
Okay, we got a buy and hold deal at $180,000. That's your sale price because you have it under contract?
No, it's an off-market property, but I know the seller who's selling it.
Okay, so you know somebody personally, they're selling the house, they want $180,000 for the house, and it's a buy and hold. Why is it only a buy and hold?
It's move-in ready. There's no room. There's no room for fix and flip.
Okay.
It's already rehab.
So it's rehab, I don't need to do any work to it other than minor paint here and there. Nothing. It's move-in ready.
Move-in ready.
I've never seen a house like that.
I sent you pictures if you want to agree.
Oh, you sent it to me tonight?
Just not yet.
Oh, okay. I'll check that out.
Anyway, $1,500 a month rent.
$1,500 a month rent. How long is the tenant been there?
I'm sorry, how long?
How long has the tenant been there?
Oh, no, there's not a tenant in there. It's vacant.
Oh, it's vacant. Okay.
But what I did was I put it on Facebook Marketplace just to see if I could get $1,500.
Yeah.
And I had like maybe 26 responses.
Okay.
And one of the people I actually talked to, he doesn't have the greatest credit score, so he's willing to pay like 3 months in advance and just stay 3 months, always stay 3 months ahead.
Okay. So 180,000, 1,500 in rent. The ARV is 180?
I think it's overpriced. It's a 2-1 at 600 square feet.
Oh wow, it's small, okay.
Yeah.
So let's look at that one. Pull that one up on here? On the FMLS? Oh, it's off market. Okay, that's okay. That's okay, that's okay. Let me pull it up on the FMLS anyway, because what we're gonna do is look at comps. Because a lot of times we come across properties that are not on the MLS, but we wanna see what houses sold for in that area, right?
Yeah, 4567.
Hold on, let me get the address is what?
4567. Hall.
East what?
Hall, AKL.
East Hall what? Oh, Gainesville, East Hall Road?
Yeah.
Which one is it? Road or drive? Is it the road or drive? You gave it to me over here, right?
It's road.
Hang on. This is it here, right? East Hall Road. So we'll look at this. All right, so we're going to look at a half mile out, once again. And we're going to look at deals that have closed in that area, either active or pending. And we're going to go search that up. Got nothing matches that. So it means there's no houses that have sold in that area in the last 180 days within a half mile. Let me go a mile out and see if we find something there. Got 3. So I'm going to go 2 miles out and give us a little more to work with. So this can become a problem too if we don't have enough houses to look at. All right. And I'm going to segregate these by price, cheapest to the most expensive. So, East Hall Road, this is a property on the same road, right? This one here, it's not the subject property, but that's a similar property within, it's 1 mile. What is that, a double yellow line? Is that a major road?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a mile out on the same street? I'm like, it's got to be a long road. Okay. So that's another thing to consider. Does anyone know what I mean when I say double yellow line? You guys know what I'm talking about there? Huh? You guys know the streets I'm talking about, 35, 45 miles an hour. You got kids? You want to play out in the front yard at 45 miles an hour? No. So a double yellow line out front is a negative, okay? How did I pick up on that? I'm looking at a similar street with actually the same street name, and I noticed off to the left, it's 1 mile from the subject property. It made me click, I'm like, that's a long road. It's not like a little subdivision, this is a long road, so it made me
It's not
think.
really a consideration of this one because it's 2 1s, and chances are they're not going to have kids.
True, you're not going to have a lot of kids, but for a rental property in this market, it's probably still a good deal. All right, so we're going to look at that. That house sold for $240,000, but instead of a 2-1, it's a 3-2, and it was built in 2020. When was your house built? We'll find out right here.
I don't remember.
What'd you say that address was?
4567 East Hall Road.
4567. So we'll do this. We'll look at the. I don't know if I can pull that up real quick here. Let's see. This is 4158. So we're going all the way. So we got to go this way. This is on a big piece of property. 4567.
It's like 3/4 of an acre right here.
4554. We're getting close. Is it in a floodplain? All right. 4577. So this must be in here. Well, that's even numbers. 4567. Okay. 600 square feet. This house was built in, let's see, it's sold 1977. Here's the tax records for it. So this house was built 1977, right here. All right. So we got a smaller house, like Sharon said. Okay. So with that being said, this house here, which is down the street from it, is a little bit bigger. This is just a lot. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Oh, this is a double wide. Okay, so we got a double wide on a piece of property that sold for $240,000. Your property is not. This is not the property, but yours is a house, or
It's a house with a garage.
house with a garage. Okay. So we got $240,000 on a double wide, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Not exactly a comp, but it gives me a general idea that 180 is probably not too far off of what it's probably worth. 180, maybe 200 in this market. So at $1,500, if you're going to keep it as a rental, because I looked at it, and you're right, I don't think it needs much work. Is that a good deal to buy a 180 with a $1,500 rent?
I would say no.
So let's analyze those numbers, okay? We were having a conversation. What's his name in the back?
Mike?
Mike? Yeah, so Mike and I were talking in the back there about rental incomes. Here's some more math. If you're looking at renting a property, you want to look at how much money you're actually going to make, okay? So there's similar math here. Someone got a calculator? All right. I've got a financial calculator. So on an $880,000 house, I put 20% down on that. That's what? $36,000, right? So I got a house that's, I'm going to take my calculator here, take 180 minus 36,000. I got a loan for $144,000. Let's say I go to the bank and I get a loan for $144,000, right? So if I do that, me get into the right thing here. Well, this is my thumbs. All right, 144. What's an average mortgage rate right now on a rental property as an investor? Anybody know? 6.5. I think you're probably pretty close, right? So 6.5%. I've got a mortgage payment with principal and interest of $912. That's principal and interest. Okay? Someone write that down, $912. Taxes and insurance are going to be on top of that, right? PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. In Hall County, which is where this is, at a house that size, you're probably looking at, I don't know, $1,400, $1,500 a year.
For taxes?
Yeah.
Check out the tax record.
Yeah,
It's like $500.
That's $500. Well, is they a senior citizen?
No.
Okay, let's just call it $1,000, just to be safe. So looking at 100, what is that? Not even that. Like 90 bucks a month, right? So take that 912, P&I, plus $90 for your taxes, and then if it's a rental property, say 100 bucks a month for insurance. So your total carry cost is $1,102, right? That's what I got to pay the bank on my mortgage, $1,102. We're making how much on rent? $1,500. Am I making money?
$400.
Seems like it, doesn't it? How much are we making?
$400.
Seems like 400, right? But are we really making 400? This is where a lot of people make mistakes when they get into this market. No, you're not making 400. And here's why you're not making 400. How old's that roof? How old's the air conditioner? How old's the water heater? What happens if they move out in a year and you got to spend $4,000 to fix it up? And the house is vacant for a month or 3 weeks. While you do that, you're trying to get a tenant, you're not making money on the rent. And you just lost 3/4 of $1,500 that month. How do we account for all those things? If I'm running a cookie store, or I'm running the copy store, I have to make enough money to pay my bills, pay my employees, and I have to buy equipment and things that come up, right? No different with a rental property. So a rental property, you have 3 buckets that you got to deal with. You got management. Okay? I'm going to need to have this managed. Either I'm going to do it, one house, that's pretty easy, or I'm going to hire a manager to do it outside of my company, and they're going to pay them 10%. That's $150 just to manage the property. Am I going to do that on one property? Probably not. But what happens if I get 5 and 10 and 15? Now I'm probably going to need help with that. But I have to take that into account because eventually I'm going to scale up to that, right? So I want to make sure this house is profitable even if I do that. I might pay myself, that's $150 a month. Let's just take that and get rid of it because we're going to do it ourselves. The other bucket is deferred maintenance. I know I'm going to need a new roof in 5 years. It's going to cost me $5,000. I got to put a couple $100 away every month to make sure I got that. Okay? In 6 months, a year, when this person moves out, the house is vacant for 3 weeks while I renovate it and spend $2,000 painting it and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not getting $1,500 in rent that month. I'm only getting $400 or whatever it is that's amortized, right? Where's that going to be made up from? So I need to make sure I put money in the bank out of that $1,500, okay? On average, if you include management fees, it's about 26%. So $1,500 minus 26% is what? 300 and what? $390. And our mortgage payment is what? $1,100. And our rent is $15. So how much money are we making now? $8, right? You see the dilemma you can get into, right? A lot of people miss that. Now, this is my only rental property. I'm going to manage it. So I don't need to do 26%. I got $150 that's coming to me because I'm managing it, so it's only 16%. So now I'm making $158, okay? I'd take that deal. I would take that. That's profitable. But I'm not making 400, I'm making 158. Okay? Keep that in mind. A lot of people get into that, think, hey, I'm making $400, boom, done. One repair, the profit's gone. Think about it. $400 a month, if you saved it and didn't do anything with it, in a year you got $4,000, $4,800. They move out, it's going to cost you $2 grand just to rehab it. Anything breaks, you're upside down. Okay? Think about those things. The reason it's important is you will scale up if you do it that way. You will scale it very quickly. We went from 3 rental properties to 85 rental properties in less than a year. And if I had not done this math, we would be upside down on the majority of our properties because I was managing the 3 by myself, no problem. I can't do that with 85. I can't. And because we bought them the right way, we've got the profit in order to pay somebody to manage it and still make money. Because what happens with rents? They go down, right? No, they go up. And what you want is a situation where if you analyze the deal right and bought it properly, your rents are going up, your payments are eating away at the mortgage, your equity spread is growing, and you're getting the tax write-offs. Okay? I've gone too long. I wanted to make sure you guys knew what a good deal looked like. I think you both have good deals. I'm interested in that one. Okay? I like that one, but it's outside of my geographic area. So why wouldn't I take that deal? I mean, I could go in there and buy it and wholesale it, right? Get under contract and wholesale it. Well, first, I don't want to pilfer your deal. You brought that here in good faith. I'd go after it if I were you. Okay? If you need help moving it, let me know. I've got a strong network. Once you get under contract, I can help move it for a fee. So I can do that. Move it very quickly. Okay? We will buy deals. You bring them here, we will buy them. We will JV with you on partnerships. Okay? If you have a partnership opportunity and you don't have the funds to do it, we can do that. We'll buy the deal you have, get you out of it, get your money, and you're going your way. Now your contract's 180. You're going to want more than that, right? Or they're paying you. We'll talk about that. We're close. We'll talk about that. What I want you to do out of here is to walk out having more information than we came in with. And then also allow some time for you guys to network some more and have some fun. So I'm going to say thank you. If you have any other questions, feel free to come up to me or to Joe. I'll say again, Joe is a strong lender. If you guys have opportunities that you need to find money, you need money, he can put you in touch with the right guys, okay? He's got the loans, and he can do with newbie investors, he can work with seasoned professionals, he does everything. As long as the deal makes sense financially, he's got a product that will work for you, and the guy is an animal. He'll work for you, and he'll get you to the table very quickly. So, appreciate your time. Joe and I thank you profusely for coming out here. Make sure you tell your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, if they want to know something about real estate, come here last Wednesday of every month. And while we're here, I'm going to also mention Joe runs another REIA that I attend quite regularly called Flipping Mojitos, which is over in Peachtree Corners at the Forum. They meet the 3rd Wednesday of every month at Mojitos. That's why it's called Flipping Mojitos. It's got a little bit of a Spanish flair to it. There's a lot of Hispanic influence within that community, but as a gringo, I can go in there and work with them just as easy as anybody else. And I've got a lot of connections in there, so strongly recommend that. We have another friend of ours named Selena Williams. She runs Gwinnett Work, which meets at Bahama Breeze on the 2nd Tuesday of every month, same time from 6 to 9. And that's an excellent one as well to meet people. 2 totally different concepts between what we do here and what Mojitos does. And Gwinnett Work and Mojitos are purely social networking. And there's just a lot of personality, a lot of vibrant, a lot of music, a lot of drinks. It's just a great atmosphere. This is an educational REIA. We hope you learned something here, take out, and walk with it. So if you haven't already, get on that Attend to Go site. Yes, Joe? Oh, no one believes me when I say this, but it's a skateboarding accident, and I actually have proof in video of me skateboarding. I was on a Boy Scout trip with my son and our troop last week up in West Virginia, and they have the 3rd largest skateboard park, and I had Scoutmaster, and I said, I got to do this, and the boys were like, Mr. Olinger, yeah, I was out there doing my thing. I was comfortable, and I was doing what I needed to do, but I got out of my lane, and I said, my 16-year-old goes, Dad, try this. I was like, all right, I'm on my back. But I got back on the skateboard and kept going. But that's what happened here. Thanks for coming out.